So good day, everyone. We will be discussing the post-laboratory and learning activity 5, the melting point determination. So for our learning objectives, first is understanding the concept of melting point. Second is determine melting point of sample solids using a melting apparatus. And lastly, explain how melting point is applied to characterize solid crystalline materials. So for our chemicals, we will be using stearic acid, benzoic acid, and acetylsalicylic acid or aspirin. And for materials, we will be using capillary tube, melting point apparatus, and mortar and pestle. So for our learning content, the melting point of a compound is the temperature at which the solid phase transitions into the liquid phase at a standard pressure of 1 atmosphere. It is a physical property like solubility, density, color, and electronegativity that can be used to identify a compound. Determining the exact melting point is challenging, so it is reported as a range. The lower limit is the temperature at which liquid drops are observed, while the upper limit is the temperature at which all solid phases transitions to the liquid phase. The effect of intermolecular forces on melting points. One major factor affecting the compound's melting point is the type of intermolecular forces present within it. Intermolecular forces can either be attractive or repulsive between the molecules of a compound in the solid phase. The molecules form an organized lattice structure due to their close packing. Examples of the intermolecular forces discussed in the previous learning activity are as follows. So first, we have the hydrogen bonding, van der Waals forces, and London dispersion forces. So what is hydrogen bonding? So hydrogen bonding is a type of attractive interaction between a hydrogen atom covalently bonded to a highly electronegative atom like nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine, and another electronegative atom. So this interaction is generally stronger than van der Waals forces, but weaker than covalent bonds. So example is water. The hydrogen bonds between the water molecules contribute to its high boiling point and surface tension. Second example is the DNA. So hydrogen bonds between the nitrogenous base like adenine with thymine and cytosine and guanine stabilize and the double helix structure.
So, so for the van der Waals forces, van der Waals forces are weak intermolecular forces that arise from transient local partial charge due to the movement of electrons. These forces include dipole-dipole interactions, dipole-induced dipole interactions, and London dispersion forces. For the example of van der Waals forces is noble gases. The interactions between noble gas atoms like helium or neon in a container are due to van der Waals forces. So for the second example is molecular solids. Compounds like solid iodine exhibit van der Waals forces leading to their molecular structures. So for the third is London dispersion forces. London dispersion forces are a type of van der Waals forces that occur due to temporary fluctuations in electron density in atoms or molecules, leading to induced dipoles These forces are present in all atoms and molecules regardless of their polarity and are generally the weakest of the intermolecular forces. For example of this is nonpolar molecules, noble gases like argon, and nonpolar organic compounds like hexane. Primary experience London dispersion forces. So for the second is large molecules. Larger molecules such as fats and oils exhibit stronger London dispersion forces due to their larger electron clouds, which can lead to greater polarizability. So the effect of intermolecular forces on melting points. The strength of attraction in compounds varies with hydrogen bonds requiring more energy to break than nonpolar compounds. This results in higher melting points and practical lab settings. Impurities can cause a lower observed melting point compared to the actual temperature of the pure compound. This phenomenon, known as melting point depression, occurs when the solid phase has a disorganized structure requiring less energy to transition into the liquid phase. The more impurities present, the broader the melting point range and lower the melting temperature. So for the procedure, preparation and packaging of the sample. First, obtain the almond samples from your instructor. Second is seal one end of the capillary tube by flame and leave another end open. So third is grind the sample with a small mortar and pestle to a fine powder. The solid must be dry or the result will be affected as a solvent can act as an impurity and affect the melting range. For the fourth is dip a small amount of the sample powder into a watch glass, jab the open end of the tube into the powder to analyze. So in fifth is gently tap the capillary tube on the table to fill the compound in the capillary tube to about a length of 3 mm. Melting point measurements first is ensure that a thermometer is in place and the apparatus is cooler than the melting point of the sample to be observed. Second is place the capillary tube with the sample in one of the wheels of the apparatus. So third, adjust the heating controlling to rise the temperature. Fifth, knowing the expected melting point value will help you anticipate which temperature you should set up. You should set the apparatus, reduce the heating control to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius when the temperature reaches with the 15 to 20 degrees Celsius of the expected melting point of the sample. So for the fourth is observe the sample through the magnified window and record the following to temperature. So one temperature when the first free liquids appear. Second temperature when the sample is completely turned liquid. So the observation is the sample is aspirin, benzoic acid, and stearic acid. For the observed melting point range is 121 degrees Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. For benzoic acid, 110 degrees Celsius to 121 degrees Celsius. So for the stearic acid is 51 degrees Celsius to 63 degrees Celsius. For the expected melting point of aspirin is 136 degrees Celsius. For benzoic acid is 121 degrees Celsius to 123 degrees Celsius. And for Stearic acid is 69 degrees Celsius.
So for the guide questions, number 1, how can impurities affect the melting point of a substance and why is it essential to consider purity in melting point determination? So impurities typically lower the melting point of a substance and broaden the melting range due to disruptions in the crystalline structure. So this is essential in melting point determination because a pure substance has a specific melting point, while impurities can lead to inaccurate results, affecting purity assessments and the ultimate quality of the material. Next slide, please. So second question, what are the different types of melting point apparatus used in the laboratory and how they work? So the laboratory melting point apparatus include capillary tube, steel tube, digital, melting point blocks, and hot stage microscopy. Each method has unique features and methods, such as heating tubes, temperature gradients, electronic sensors, sim- simultaneous analysis, and real-time monitoring. Selection depends on sample size, precision, and simultaneous testing needs. So the third is describe the factors that can influence the accuracy and precision of melting point determination experiments. So how can these factors be controlled to ensure reliable results? So the melting point determination experiments are influenced by several factors, including sample purity, heating rate, sample size, calibration, and operator skill. So proper preparation, controlled heating, equipment maintenance, and adherence to standardized methods can enhance the reliability of these measurements. So the regular calibration and controlled environmental conditions help mitigate variations in atmospheric pressure and temperature. So in conclusion, achieving accurate and precise melting point determination is influenced by various factors, including sample purity, heating rate, sample size, equipment calibration, environmental conditions, and operator technique. So by carefully controlling these variables, ensuring high sample purity, maintaining a gradual heating rate, using appropriate sample sizes, calibrating equipment regularly, conducting experiments in stable environments, and following standardized protocols, reliable and reproducible results can be obtained. For reference, the melting points of the common substances are 121 to 122 degrees Celsius for benzoic acid, 69 degrees Celsius for stearic acid, and 135 degrees Celsius for aspirin. So this meticulous approach not only enhances the validity of the melting point data, but also contributes to the overall quality of the analysis in chemical research and quality control. In the pharmacy profession, melting point determination is vital for quality control and assurance in drug formulation and production. Accurate melting point measurements help pharmacists confirm the identity and purity of active pharmaceutical ingredients and excipients, ensuring that they meet regulatory standards. This process is essential in the development of safe and effective medications. Additionally, understanding melting points aids in optimizing drug stability and storage conditions, directly impacting patient safety and therapeutic efficacy. Therefore, mastering the technique is crucial for pharmacists working in laboratories, quality control, and research settings.
So that would be all for the post laboratory of activity number 5. Thank you.